What's up everyone? Today we've got some important news to cover. We recently got some new news straight from the Overwatch developers, and this is a ton of information. It's been a long time since we got some statistics like this, and there is literally a ton to cover. We have all of the information coming straight from the Overwatch 2 beta, and we're literally talking about all the stuff we wanted answers for. From power and popularity to PC and console differences, as well as some information pertaining to how powerful the Junker Queen actually is. There's really a lot to cover here, and we're going to be chopping the data up and making multiple videos from this. But for today's video, I wanted to talk about a particular set of information that we just acquired that really falls in line with one of my previous videos that a lot of you guys seem to like, and that's the differences between heroes when it comes to PC and console versions of Overwatch. So I'm going to throw up the stats on the screen here and read what the developers have to say for you guys. The article states here, before we get too deep into the analysis, let's talk about the PC versus console balance split. Overwatch finds itself in a similar situation to other cross-platform titles where we have a player base that enjoys our game on many platforms and with many different input control schemes. This can and does create different strategies that work better with either a controller or a mouse and keyboard. While there were differences in win rates for particular heroes on console versus PC, we were quite happy with the overall balance of heroes throughout the beta on both platforms. If anything, the win rates of heroes on console platforms were closer together than on PC. With this in mind, for the rest of the blog, the metrics displayed will be a combination of PC and console data. But for all of those data enthusiasts out there, here's a table of unmirrored win rate differences throughout the entire beta, split by PC versus console. Okay, so we've got a data chart here that covers the differences in percentage between the PC characters and the console characters. We're going to take a look at all of them, but the first one that I wanted to start with was Ana. If you see, she has the highest difference in percentage when it comes to a lower win rate for the console version of her rather than the PC version. I made a previous video really touching on why I think this to be the case, and for Ana in particular, I really feel like it has a lot to do with mouse and keyboard versus controller. But really, I was surprised at all of the data. It doesn't really match up with what controller you use being the difference between the percentages. There's a ton of characters here that you have to be able to aim really well with, and the console versions seem to do a lot better with them. Characters like Baptiste and Bastion and Roadhog for the hook. This is why in my last video we focused on Ana when it came to the mouse and keyboard versus controller discussion. I played a ton of Overwatch on console, and then moving to PC, I could tell that she was the one character that really was going to be affected from this. On the flip side, if you look at the characters that did better on console, the differences really don't align with the mouse and controller battle that we usually have. D.Va and Zarya at the top with a 3% difference, and the way you play them just don't involve a high level of aiming. But then, if you look down at Baptiste, you might wonder, well, why does he have a 1.7% difference leaning in the console direction? Because Baptiste really is a high skill tiered character when it comes to aiming, but that is only with his machine gun. The way Baptiste is probably winning more games on console is that healing is a different way of aiming for him. You don't have to be super spot on, and it has an area of effect healing. And then, when you look down at Bastion, you might wonder, you have to be pretty accurate with his main primary weapon to get kills. But honestly, I feel like classic Overwatch outside of the Overwatch 2 beta was able to get way more primary fire kills. But when it comes to the Overwatch 2 beta version of Bastion, I feel like his new Sentry mode is really where he's getting all of his kills at. And in return, it's providing him with a higher win rate on console because using that turret mode, you have a larger area of effect when it comes to your reticle, and you have unlimited ammo, which means when Bastion uses this ability, he kind of turns into a character like Zarya. He has a really large spread, and it's kind of like a giant beam that just does incredible damage. So I really think that's the case when it comes to the differences leaning more towards console. But then when you skip down to a character like Ana, it really shows when it comes to how much you have to aim in a different way on the PC version rather than the console version. And remember, we're not just talking about lining up your shot and clicking a button. We're talking about the differences between movement speed when it comes to facing forward and then needing to look directly behind you. It's just way easier to move around faster on PC because you have a mouse, not even when it comes to aiming, but on controller it's really hard for your thumbs to keep up when you have to be swirling around so much, so they kind of set a cap on console for that. You can't switch around from facing front and then try to face behind you faster or as fast as the PC version. And we can back this up by looking at the statistics when it comes to Genji. If you look, he falls in second behind Ana with a negative 2.10% win rate towards the PC side. This is the case because Genji's entire playstyle revolves around moving quick and looking around in different places all the time. So when you can move faster one way to another, it's just going to make those specific type of characters way stronger on the PC version. But let's jump out of that and look at the 3 characters that had no differences at all. This being Mei, Reaper, and Winston. They all share something in common that plays into everything that we just talked about. They all have to get into the face of their enemies to deal damage, which means that no matter on PC or console, you're gonna be getting into the faces of the enemy team to deal your damage, which in return means that you don't have to be the best at aiming. So for both versions, it evened all 3 of these characters out and they have no change. From all my time playing Overwatch, I can't recall receiving any type of data like this. I could be wrong, but I feel like this is the first time we've ever received information that you can really look at to determine whether you want to play on PC or console depending on what heroes you want to play. Or you might be switching back and forth, or at least planning to when Overwatch 2 comes out, so now you know what characters you can play better with on PC and console when you're switching so that you can play the best on both versions. But that's just my opinion. I want to hear yours, so be sure to put it down in the comments below so that I can see what you guys are thinking. There's a lot of data here, and it really is up in the air for interpretation, but that being said, we have a lot more data to cover, so that's it for this video, guys. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of my content. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you on the next one. Flash out.